Now, what did you say?
I have a dirty room right now.
Make your beds every morning. You will never, ever, ever regret it. I promise.
Have you seen the speech from the Admiral about make your bed?
No,
Oh, you have. It's great.
but it's true. Make your bed every morning. You will never regret it. I promise. Promise.
We got people that are going to.
Okay, thank you all for all being here. Committee members, thank you for eating very quickly and getting over to our committee meeting. It's a special one. I think y'all enjoy a lot, but I've got to recognize someone very quickly. I'll call this transportation meeting to order. Where is Gavin Thomas at? Where? Here. Well, Gavin, you don't have to come up and talk, but could you wave at us? Now, Yay, we're glad. This Representative Thomas's fine son. We're glad to have him with us today. And is this bring your son to work day kind of sort of thing?
It's midwinter break. Nope.
Oh, midwinter break.
Break in Cherokee County.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
All day long.
Okay, the scramble of daycare, keeping up with kids. Well, thank you. So, also, I want to recognize a special guest we have. You heard me talk about this morning. First thing we're going to do is hear Derek McCollum's bill, House Bill 516. And Derek, if you go ahead and move toward the microphone on the stand over here. But in the meantime, we're just tickled to have these folks from Forsyth County here today, from Sharon Elementary and their moms and dads, and to visit with us. As we said this morning, members, they had a great outing. Some of us went to see them earlier this year. That's why we have this relationship. And see them at their school one afternoon and see the dedication of the young people and their parents, and especially Miss Wendy Wing, who is their teacher, just guiding them in this great competitive adventure of the Lego Robo competition. They're going to tell you about it. Maybe Miss Wendy, you'll tell us about it. But we're excited to have them there, and you see all these smiling faces on the front row, and we're doing that. But so as we keep our quorum, we're going to hit House Bill 516, presented by Representative McCollum. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee, for hearing my bill. I'm presenting House Bill 516. It's LC 393774. So this bill is something that you will probably, hopefully, utilize in your districts. It's a quick DOT quick response project. So if you have an issue with safety, right turn lanes, left turn lanes, intersection improvements, things like that, this can get through the process really quick. The unfortunate thing is $200,000 is what it is now, and that don't go very far now that gas, groceries, and everything's went up. So we're asking to raise it to $500,000 for the quick response, and this goes around the bid process so we can get the help, because it's usually a safety issue.
We actually do solicit 3 bids.
Okay.
Josh, we'll get you to the
Yeah,
microphone in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Let you. Okay.
And then the other part is the private partnership. So if you're doing like a toll road, something like that, with a private public partner, which is Josh was saying that it's pretty rare that we have those projects. So what this does is you have to have one hearing with the environmental and a public hearing, and you only have to have the one. It suffices on the environmental part, where now you have to have 2, correct? Yeah. So you have to have 2 now. So we're just changing it to the 1, which would be the same as what you're doing on a regular project that's not public-private. And that's pretty much and the changes are in there is that in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it's also the last. We'll let Josh talk about that. In the very last of the bill on lines 63 and 65, on approval of contracts. Mr. Waller, would you like to come up and make some comments?
Thank you very much, and appreciate Representative McCollum for carrying the bill and for the committee hearing it. Yeah, just reiterate on the quick response projects. Those are those quick improvements where we go in, it's a right turn lane, left turn lane, other intersection improvements. And even though we don't have to go through your typical procurement process, our internal process is to solicit 3 bids and go with the lowest one. But that's one of those where you can identify something that you know that, like, if a turn lane could provide relief at an intersection, you go in there, you get it done. Because so many of our projects obviously have a longer horizon than we would all like. So we've really found that in the field districts, those operational improvements can make a big difference when you're still waiting for maybe the longer term solution. In terms of the P3 projects, those changes are a little bit of a vestige to if you go back 20 years. We used to have what was called unsolicited P3 projects, where when the state first stuck its toes into the water of transportation and public-private partnerships, they anticipated you could have unsolicited where someone just says, hey, we think the state should do this. They bring it to the department, and the department had to evaluate it. So some of that language about the timing and when the public hearings occur are a vestige of that. The point being if you typically have those hearings as part of the environmental process, and that's the most appropriate place, because that's the point in the process where if there's comment, you can actually change the design. So it just says if that's done earlier, it's satisfied. You don't have to have a duplicative hearing, which we had to do today, and we get 0 comments, but we still have to go through that process. With respect to the board approval, because of the complexity of these projects, the board approves it at a slightly earlier phase. So once they've done that, that satisfies that requirement. So you're not dealing with issues of you're trying to achieve what's called financial close on some of these, waiting for interest rates, and then having to call a special board meeting to make sure that the timing's right with interest rates. So that's what it does in a nutshell.
Okay, I believe these are probably for you, Mr. Ward. Number 4, that's Ms. Nulowitz.
Thank you. Tell me about so I'm looking at lines 54 and 55 about so if you've had that environmental phase of the project, how will that public comment period be advertised? If you could just explain, because I want to make it clear that there will be ample opportunity for this public comment to happen. And how will that be advertised? How will people know that that's happening during that environmental phase?
So it follows all of our traditional, it's the exact same as with any other project. And we actually do it now on these projects. And so the comment was just one, we actually sometimes can do multiple depending on the project. And so depending on the length of the corridor, you'll have multiple hearings, a multiple process. And that's actually part of something that the Federal Highway Administration oversees to ensure that you've had that adequate. So all these P3 projects are going to have federal dollars, so they're all going to be following that federal process. And so, yeah, it's going to vary the number of meetings, but we have public hearings. We've also introduced virtual POIHs so that they're able to engage folks as opposed to the old just let's go to a community center and maybe you get to talk to somebody. You're in a crowd full of people, and as opposed to now you get people that can put their comments, and then we respond to all comments. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to follow up on the Representative's question. So do you have a written policy that y'all go by for this one and I guess
Absolutely.
other?
Yep, we've got manuals and rules and
That
all sorts
talk
of
about,
fun
I
stuff.
want specifically about
On the
issue
yes.
about the
Correct.
notification and making sure that people know about it.
And then within that process, there are 3 levels of environmental. You've got your so depending on the type of project and whether it's going to require an environmental impact statement or an environmental assessment, the requirements can go higher or lower.
Okay.
So, but
Thank
yeah,
you.
there's always a public input process.
Great. Mr. Holly? Is that, no, 24. Oh, I'm sorry, I was on the wrong road. Mr. Thomas, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to hold my question for the bill author.
For the bill author, so this must be okay. Bill author, would you please approach the podium? Mr. McCollum.
Go ahead, Representative.
Yeah, I've got you on 24. Yes, sir.
As you remember the other day, I had a bill in the well and you asked a question, so I felt like go ahead and hand you one back. Line 63 through 60.
Yeah, yeah.
Here we go. Lines 63 through 65 state, unless the board has previously approved the proposal based upon a determination that the proposal provided the best value to the state upon contract terms that are most satisfactory and advantageous to the state. What happens if the board hasn't previously approved the proposal?
Well, if it hasn't previously approved it, it wouldn't be on there.
There you go.
Further question.
You haven't, oh, excuse me. Would you question another
Do
question?
you mind, Mr. Chair?
Oh, you go ahead, please.
Could you explain to me a little bit about the environmental phase of a project? Can you talk me through that process?
Well, the environmental phase would be you go through EPD and hearings.
No, not I'm sorry, not Mr. Waller. I need to know from you.
So you go through EPD and hearings with the public comments and make sure that the public was good with the project, and then obviously any environmental issues that you would have would be answered and mitigated.
Well done, Mr. Representative. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Well, we're not done yet. Oh, Miss Representative Anulowicz.
Thank you. Yes, my question is also for the sponsor.
Okay.
When you were presenting the bill, you mentioned the price of groceries. Tell me, is GDOT buying a lot of groceries? Because I have not seen that in the governor's budget recommendations for FY24.
Well, their employees buy a lot of groceries, so until we have to raise their pay up so they can purchase the groceries. So that raises the salaries, which Intel is, trickles down. And I also mentioned fuel and gas. So that's something that's very important.
So in talking about the salaries of the GDOT, which lines is that addressed in this bill?
Well, I was just inferring to inflation overall.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative McCollum, would it be fair, for the purpose of explaining it to those who are watching right next to you, that when you were humming and hawing and kind of having a difficulty up there, couldn't it possibly said that you too, like some of you all, are having butterflies in your stomach when you're speaking at the microphone?
Well, yes. No matter how many times I do this, I don't know about everybody else. You always have butterflies speaking in front of somebody, so that's a normal reaction. So don't be afraid to get up and try something new.
Here.
You get an A. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Very kind comments. And for the audience, I believe, is this Representative's first bill in the committee?
No, this is actually my third. My first one was in front of non-judicial, which was very painful. And I learned that do not go without an attorney with you to that.
Does that, all the members had the opportunity to ask questions. Anybody else have any? At the appropriate time would I'll recognize Representative Thomas.
At the appropriate time, a motion.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
Is it appropriate?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
A motion to pass.
Yeah, second. You have a question? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? The opposite? None. Your bill passes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay. Thank you, committee, for engaging, gentlemen. That's great. He appreciates that. I know some of y'all have got to run to Ways and Means and all sorts of things also. Pardon? That's over? Okay, golly. Well, I've got one in a minute. But so now we're just total switch gears. We've dealt with some serious stuff in the last couple of weeks, and you met this wonderful class and teacher earlier this school year, maybe October sometime, and Representative Cox and I and Carter Barrett and a number of us went to their school to see this wonderful group of young people. So I'm going to turn it over to Miss Wendy Wing, their teacher, and may tell us a little bit about it, and then they have the presentation for our committee.
Why don't you guys come up and start ready? Okay. We have a prototype to show you, so you might have a little bit difficulty seeing it. We're just having a little more space.
Okay, I want you to, I tell you, Miss Wendy, if you'll go to 5 right there and talk into that, so.
Okay.
you'll be on the camera, and everybody will be able to hear you.
Students, you just need to improvise in the space that we have, so make the best. One, I am a teacher, Mrs. Wendy Wing from Sharon Elementary School in Forsyth County. I have to say we have the best elementary school in the state of Georgia. It's a wonderful place to work. I feel like I've died and gone the teacher. Cut me off, Jaspers. So this is my 11th year teaching at Sharon, my 20th year teaching school, and I'm the first LEGO League robotics coach as well as a gifted teacher at our school. So this group of students was selected through a application and tryout process. So we have about 50 students that try out each year, and 10 students can actually make the team, which is a first LEGO League regulation. So we will be, we won first place at state at the first LEGO League Georgia State competition at UGA. There are about 475 teams that compete in the state of Georgia for first LEGO League for the age division of 9 to 15 here. But we will be going to Worlds. We're the only team from Georgia representing the state of Georgia at Worlds Festival. That will be held in Houston, Texas in April. So hopefully we'll represent you well and bring home a trophy to show what a great state we live in. We do want to say thank you to Representative Jaspers for helping us. He's been a major contributor to our team, and that was a deciding factor between the champions at Georgia Tech and the champions at UGA, that our innovation project and that we're presenting here before you today. So we really do want to appreciate it. And that being said, Representative Jaspers, we have a present for you.
Oh, that is great. Well, let me just tell you too, Miss Wendy brought Madison, our admin, a bouquet of flowers this morning.
For being so sweet. But that is a T-shirt for you because you are now an official member of the Sharon Robo Knights. Because
Hey, all right. Listen to this.
we have a saying in our team: once a Sharon Robo Knight, always a Sharon Robo Knight. So you are official member.
Thank y'all.
You can wear that. Yep.
Thank y'all very much.
And one of the major values of First LEGO League is kids do the work, and it's something I truly believe in. Yeah, so you know, and these kids put in hundreds and hundreds of hours. They practice every day till 6 o'clock from November, December, January through now, and then they start in April, and they work through the summer, so they put in so many hours. And so I'm just so appreciative for you guys, and we love your feedback because you can help us hopefully bring home a trophy from Worlds. And we do compete against teams from all over the world. And some of those boys are shaving. They're like really big 16-year-olds, and like they're like big. And so I'm really proud of this group, and I'm going to turn it over to one of our captains, Miss Adia Darney, and I'm going to let them take it from here. Thank you.
First LEGO League, or FLL, is an international robotics competition where students from 9 to 16 years old compete to solve real-world problems to improve our future. Each year, you're given a different theme. This year's theme is Superpower, where you must solve the problem of generating, storing, distributing, or using energy. FLL grades you based on 4 components. Those are Innovation Project, How Your Robot Runs, Robot Design, and Core Values. Each is worth 25% of your score. We are about to present to you our innovation portion of our score, our creative solution of the solar highway. In our presentation, we are supposed to identify our problem and share our solution in a fun and entertaining way. After our presentation, we would love to hear your feedback and share our proposal on how you may implement the solar highway on Georgia's roads. Now, please enjoy the Sharon Robo Knights Solar Highway.
Legislators, may we begin?
You may.
Yes, please. I want an electric vehicle, but distributing energy to EVs can be such a problem.
Ka-chow! There are 3 reasons why distributing energy to EVs is such a pain. First, it is not convenient to charge your EV. According to Georgia Department of Transportation, it can take up to 40 hours to charge an EV. This means they are stuck at home.
The Sharon Robo Knight saw that problem.
Yeah, what about all those charging nodes?
What are those?
Charging nodes in places where EV charging stations are not commonly available. According to Forbes.com, charging nodes can even induce range anxiety. Range anxiety is an EV driver's fear that their car battery will run out of power while they're far from a charging station. As you can see here from this U.S. Department of Energy map here, there are many areas in the U.S. that don't have any charging stations.
The Futurist.org reported that there are about 47,000 charging stations in the U.S.
And according to Car and Driver, there are 2.5 million EVs in the U.S. in 2022. This makes charging EVs inconvenient. This even in big cities. Just because there are a lot of charging stations listed on the map doesn't mean they're all functional.
The New York Times reported that about 25% of the charging stations in the Bay Area were not working, causing urban charging days.
The third reason you don't want an EV is that they're overtaxing the power grid, causing people to not have enough power at home. According to .LA, California's having blackouts just charging 1 million EVs, when their goal is 20 million.
Maybe let's buy gas-powered cars.
I've been trying to tell you how the Sharon Robonite solved all these problems. Oh, and you don't want a gas-powered car because they use fossil fuels, which is a greenhouse gas. According to National Geographic, greenhouse gases cause climate change and contribute to air pollution. In 2021, HART reported that up to 8 million people die from fossil fuels a year. This is why we need to find a better way to distribute energy to electric vehicles, like me. Here are the Sharon Robonites to tell you more about it.
Our solar highway charges your EV all day long. If you're going our way, no need to charge it while at home.
We designed an innovative solar highway that distributes energy to EVs while driving.
We all studied the mission board and came up with our own ideas independently. As you can see here from our individual designs, we narrowed them down to 2. How school gravity energy storage and finding a better way to charge EVs.
When meeting with experts, we found that gravity energy storage was not cost effective on a smaller scale.
We decided to focus on distributing energy to EVs, and we used the engineering design process to plan and create our prototype. Our first iteration used vertical access wind turbines, located on the median of highways, to harness the wind generated by moving vehicles. This energy would be distributed to charging stations at rest areas.
Our second iteration, which was a major change, was to not use charging stations, but to charge the vehicles driving on the interstate with magnetized concrete, which generates an electric field through ferrite particles. This allows the battery to charge while moving, making charging EVs as convenient and safe as possible. Our third iteration happened when we met with expert Costa Simoglu, who explained the inefficiency of VODs. We changed from VODs to solar panels because they're more cost-effective and efficient. He recommended placing them on the off exits and shoulders of highways, creating our
Solar Highway!
After meeting with Stuart Massey from the Ray Foundation, we created our 4th iteration, which added rubber powder from recycled tires to the magnetized concrete, making the roads last 2 times longer.
We will tie the energy from solar panels to the high voltage direct current lines, which will be placed under the highways from coast to coast. This allows power from the solar highway to be transferred where it is needed.
We iterated using feedback from our 9 experts, Costa Simoglu, Robert Butera, Brian Thomas, Thomas Mason, Stuart Massey, our Georgia State representatives, and now you, the Georgia Department of Transportation Committee.
Our solar highway makes a positive impact on the world by making charging more convenient and safer, reduces carbon emissions, and does not overtax the power grid.
Hey, Latin, where's your one of those fancy ass clothes when we charge up?
Our solar highway!
Georgia representatives, you can implement our solar highway on Georgia roads using the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program over the next 5 to 10 years. There are 3 reasons why you should consider implementing our solar highway on Georgia roads.
First, it will make a positive impact on Georgia residents. It will make charging more convenient and safer and reduces carbon emissions and does not overtax the power grid. This will encourage more people to purchase electric vehicles.
Second, the solar highway would help Georgia's economy by being a leader in innovative electric vehicle technologies. Governor Kemp said, Georgia has a proven record of investing early in the resources and infrastructure needed to connect it to the world and develop jobs of the future. The solar highway is the perfect infrastructure to support Governor Kemp's Georgia Electric Mobility and Innovation Alliance. By being a leader in innovative EV technologies, it would encourage more corporations to build more manufacturing facilities in Georgia. According to Georgia.org, 35 EV-related projects have contributed $25 billion in investments in Georgia since 2018. Hyundai announced plans to open its first fully dedicated EV and battery manufacturing in Georgia. Rivian EV manufacturer announced their largest manufacturing facility in Georgia. According to a report by the Alliance for Automotive Innovative, automakers are planning to invest $250 billion in electrification in the near future. The solar highway will help attract these investors to our state.
Third, our solar highway will replace the loss of gas tax revenue from EVs by using a Peach Pass system that'll charge users while driving.
Representatives, now we have some questions for you. Representatives, we need your help to complete a cost analysis for a 10-mile stretch of the Solar Highway. We have been trying to complete one over the last 2 months, but we need an expert. Could you introduce us to someone who could determine the cost?
During the state
Where's Ellie Kelly?
During the state championship at UGA, the judges asked us how many EVs could charge at the same time while driving down a 10-mile stretch of the Solar Highway. Could you introduce us to someone who could help us determine that number? Him again?
We have tried to contact Magnet.co, but haven't received any response. Could you help us get in contact with Magnet.co so we can find the cost of the magnetized concrete?
I bet we can.
Okay, Georgia representatives, it would really help us if you would follow and retweet our tweets on our Twitter at SRK26392.
We are so excited to get to be able to represent the amazing state of Georgia at the World's Festival. Teams from all over the world trade promotional items and give away prizes related to their state or country. Do you have a contact for anyone in the Atlanta United, Atlanta Falcons, Atlanta Braves, Georgia Tech, UGA, that might be able to help us with getting signed jerseys or hats, tumblers, pins, or any other promotional items?
We sure
Yes,
do.
we do.
Now, representatives, do you have any questions for us?
Well, first, let's give him a hand. Well, boy, have y'all changed that. That is great from what we heard from what Representative Cox and I heard from earlier. I messed up my name. That was fabulous. Yeah, we have a couple of questions, a couple of lights blinking right here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. As a former classroom teacher, I just want to thank Mrs. Wing, the parents, and any other adults that have been working with you. And I also want to thank you for all the hard work that you obviously put into this. It's a wonderful presentation. So I do have one question. Is your presentation timed? Do you have a time limit at competition?
Yes.
You do. What's your time limit?
Under 5 minutes.
Okay. So my only feedback, because it was a wonderful presentation, might be to slow down just a tad, but I also know if you are on a time limit, then you might need, I understand that, but that would be my only feedback, is just to slow down a little bit. Otherwise, it was wonderful, and thank you so much for coming to share it with us.
Let's see here, number 12 down.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. I actually just wanted to know if you could put the screen with your Twitter handle back up. I wasn't fast enough to write it down. Thank you.
The more followers we have, the show that we share it more on the worldwide stage, and if you can retweet, their goal is to try to get Elon Musk to tweet back, get us to have Tesla talk about putting it with Tesla or another EV manufacturer. So if you have any friends or contacts that work in the EV manufacturing about putting the coils on their cars,
We happen to know the Tesla lobbyist. He's been in my office every day this week.
can we get a meeting with them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll set it out, see if he's in the building right now.
Yeah.
Ms. Anilowitz, I think you're for, aren't you?
Yes, if we, for instance, do happen to have a contact with the Atlanta Braves or Georgia Tech or somewhere similar, who do we need to get in touch with? And is it possible for maybe Ms. Madison to share that information with the committee members for how we can get information?
That would be me.
Okay.
That'd be W Wing, Cindy Wing, so W Wing at Forsyth, FORSYTH .k12.ga.us. I know it's really long. So Wendy Wing, W Wing at Forsyth.k12.ga.us.
Thank you.
That'd be awesome.
Next, Mr. Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. You know, raise your hand if you ever did show and tell in school. Did you? All right. Guess what? This is the biggest stage in Georgia for show and tell, all right? You all did an amazing job. And probably the only question that I have, I'm curious, just by a show of hands, are any of you deciding upon, when you look at your career, you're looking at a career dealing with finding solutions for transportation? Okay, all right. That's good. Well, look, I just want to just leave with you. Well, I think we all agree up here. We are happy to have you here, and we're overjoyed because sometimes a lot of the work that we do up here, it's necessary, but sometimes it's just a little boring. Okay? But you all have put a lot of bright smiles on our faces, and I know I haven't been in the classroom for a couple of years, but you give us so much hope about what our great state can provide. You all are gonna be amazing leaders when you get older. So just thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, I think this is Mr. Thomas. 24, yeah. Is that one working? No, do between.
All right. So several of us actually sat on an EV study committee in the off season, and so we're pretty familiar with a lot of electric vehicle infrastructure and ideas. And I have to tell you, you guys brought stuff to the table that we have multiple meetings, 7 meetings, I hadn't heard. So I'm really proud of you. You've done great work, and you've obviously really put your research into this, and way to be ahead of the curve. So keep up the good work, guys. Best of luck to you.
Yay. Okay, if you'll sit still, the representative from Tesla will be in this room.
Wow.
And so might get you just kind of put your head together what you want to ask him, but he will. But
I just have one other question.
Sure.
This is something the judges might ask. How probable might you think about adopting this? We know this is a 5 to 10 year down the road project. When we spoke with Casa Simablu, who's in the Georgia Innovation Department, but he's like, this is the running phase. Right now we're in the baby step, just beginning walking phase of the EV infrastructure. But I know that's a question that most likely will come up, like that we presented it to you, and what was your feedback about how likely you might think about adopting a solar highway using the magnetized concrete? So I just would like your feedback possibly on that.
Alpha Feedback has talked with Allie Kelly about what their proposal is, or have you talked, Representative? Yeah, with the Ray. We'll have to get up with, Josh, do you know from the Ray what y'all have discussed with him? Go to the microphone, please, if you don't mind.
The state of Georgia has been a major innovator in the space of alternative energy and highways. So the answer is that with the Ray, which is on I-85, that would be a perfect proving ground, and you plan to make the case that should be incorporated into that proving ground for that technology. So, yeah, sky's the limit.
So Mr. Waller, how far? I mean, I guess I know y'all have been great partners with them at this point of doing an actual section of magnetized concrete. What's 2 years, 5 years? We don't know.
We wouldn't know immediately. We'd have to talk it through, as well as we have to work when you're looking at an interstate. You got to work with the Federal Highway Administration on that. So that's going to be an important partner in that conversation as well. So the key to making it happen is knowing who all do you need to talk to, work with, and have a plan. And y'all are well on your way to having a plan. So
exciting, great. Well, if y'all don't mind, thank you. And thank you to your parents. Hope they take you out for pizza tonight. You know? Lewis Massey, this gentleman who's coming, is a Georgian who works for a group called Impact Public Solutions. And Mr. Massey, he's on his way over. He said take him 5 minutes. And what he does is he doesn't work for Tesla, but he represents Tesla's interest in the state of Georgia. And so, I've been working on that electric vehicle taxing thing that y'all know about. Mr. Massey's been very engaged with me in making sure I don't harm their company. See you, Mr. Thomas. See you, Gavin. And bye now. And so we'll hang out and meet with him, let y'all give him some questions. He's very engaging, very nice gentleman. But at this moment, our meeting is adjourned for our business. Thank y'all.
Can we get a picture with all the representatives?
Of course, man. Yeah, we're all in the pictures.